Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're on the move with yours truly, Joanna Ward at WATC 57. And I love golf and God so much that I had to get our PGA expert back here, Brett Gorney, with Mobile Events, Golf Events. Come on, Brett.
How are you doing,
Thank you
Joanna?
so much. You did such an amazing job. We had such great feedback. And even though I kind of didn't do well, people were still excited about the opportunity.
Well, I'm grateful to be back, so thank you. I didn't even do well. I shanked it on the first ball.
You're so humble. You're so humble. But you're also a man of God.
I am.
And this golf and God thing, tell us a little bit about that before we get started.
Well, man, I think it's the greatest game ever created by God, right? There's so many analogies to life and faith on the golf course, and yeah, I'm just blessed I get to use my gifts and talents in this game to serve others through mobile golf events and through the ministry I started with golf as well. So
that is absolutely amazing. So you are a man of faith. You have family. You have friends. You have all these good things that we're experiencing on this set right now because we can do golf anywhere. So tell us a little bit more about how we can bring you to our birthdays, to our schools, to our organizations, and have golf.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the good thing is we're located, right, we're based out of Chamblee, so getting around Atlanta is pretty easy. We've gone as far as Philadelphia. We can put stuff on a truck, but for those that live locally here, you know, it's pretty easy. We can do birthday parties, weddings, Christmas parties, corporate events, team building events, you name it, we've done it. Been in the business for 10 years. And these simulators, we've got, I think, 8 of them. So when you have a massive event like a convention, we can bring multiple ones. But it's a great way because we bring in PGA and certified coaches. People that have never golfed before can get their hands on a club for the first time, like we did with you. I know it wasn't your first time. But you know, we can give lessons. We also bring some putting equipment in for people that are a little more timid, that don't want to swing the big stick, and really just create a fun experience that is welcoming for everybody. Gets those newbies to hit a golf ball for the first time, but then offer some fun competition and contests on the simulators.
That is interesting. So what I learned the last time was huge. You taught me how to hold the golf club. You taught me how to swing. You taught me how to keep my arms. That was really important, and to bring up my back foot and all that good stuff. But what I didn't know, what I thought was pretty interesting, is that the actual greens that you have. Could you tell us a little bit more about how the simulator holds the greens?
Yeah, so we use a technology called GS Pro. It's a software that runs, this is a launch monitor. This is called a unit core. There's a lot of different types of launch monitors you can have. This one is a camera-based launch monitor. It sits here on the ground. The camera reads the ball, feeds that information to a computer, which turns it into the ball flight on the screen. So, and then with the software, the simulation software is where you get all the different options for courses. This is actually Augusta National, very famous golf course that most people watching probably know about. If you don't, we got questions, right? But there's tons of different courses. So we can play golf, we can set up the driving range for practice, we can set up contests. There's actually some fun little games in here for kids, you know, like whack-a-mole or something, or dart, you know, balloon pop, things that doesn't matter where the kid hits the ball, they're gonna see something explode on the screen, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And so yeah, it's the technology is amazing.
Yeah, I didn't even know. So we don't even have to go to these major greens. We can just get it simulated on the golf simulator,
To the
right?
courses. No, you don't have to go to them. Like, you can play. This is probably I would say, the hardest golf course to get onto to play in the world. One of the top 5 at least. And so you get to play it right in your own home.
So you bring it right to us.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. You guys have got to check this out at mobilegolfevents.net, and that is on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So could you show us one more time how it looks with you being an expert? How when you hit the, when the shot goes, how it takes and shows the range, and then kind of talk us through what the simulator is actually doing.
Yeah, so like I said, there's a couple components. This is going to read the golf ball. Some other units might be a radar that tracks the golf ball from behind. Some systems, ours need to be portable, so that's why we use these. Some systems, if you were to install one inside your house, might have some technology overhead that reads the ball. But this is going to track the golf ball through high-speed cameras. That's going to relay a bunch of data on, like, how fast the ball flies, its launch angle, its spin rates, you know, the way the golf club hits it. And then that's going to translate into a ball flight that will appear on the screen.
Okay.
So, you ready? You want to see?
Guys watching? Get your,
all right, so
get your pen and paper out.
This is number 16 at Augusta, famous hole. I'm going to try to do better than last time I was on the show. But We'll step in. This is the famous one where Tiger Woods holed out from behind the green. Uh-oh, I pulled it left right where Tiger hit it.
But that's how it works. Like it's
That's
showing
how it
where the ball
works, yeah.
would have went by me hitting the screen.
Yeah, so we do that again. It's pretty quick. It resets. This is in a gaming mode where we can just replay this shot, over and over.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so the ball flight comes up on the screen. That one went in the water.
So even,
I need to work
it even
on my
goes in
game.
the water. But that's so cool, though, that it has all the live attributes of the golf course.
And it actually has sound. We don't have it on for the cameras, but there's birds chirping in the background.
Really?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So you guys have got to get Brett out to show you how this works at your organization. Again, you can go to Mobile Golf Events on Facebook or Instagram, and then we have his information on the bottom of the screen. So thank you so much for showing us how the simulator works, because I think that's very important to do so. So talking about you personally, you got married a couple of months ago, or maybe a year or so
15
ago.
months
That's
ago,
still
yeah.
relatively new for us 20, 30-year married people.
Yeah,
That's we would call that
Very
new.
Yeah.
And so tell us about your ministry and your wife.
Yeah, so my wife Melissa and I got married in August last summer. We actually met on the gram, on Instagram, back in 2014.
Go Instagram.
Yeah, before there was DMs, I couldn't slide in. It was just a full conversation on the chat wall, right? She was living in New Jersey, I was living down here, and there was an interest, and then, we just she was opening up a business, I was kind of getting a new business going, but she expressed interest in this mission trip that I was going to be leading to El Salvador. And so when it came to fruition in August of that, or I guess about June of that year, I invited her to come. And so she took the challenge to have to raise her funds. And I met her, a day before we were leaving for the trip, I think.
So what he's doing, he kind of ruined the surprise. Melissa's here! Come on up, Melissa! You know what I like about that is that, welcome to On the Move. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know what I like about that is he checked with you first. Like, when was it? It was supposed to be a surprise, but that's okay. This is his wife. He can be excited.
Surprise!
So, Melissa, you met Brett on Instagram, and you guys have done ministry together, right? And tell us about that. Tell us. He bought you in before I did. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so he had a nonprofit before before Servanty called Mission 514, where he took a bunch of Christ-minded individuals, men and women, on groups of trips to El Salvador, which we went from 2014 to 2019.
Every year.
Every year.
To a children's home in El
So
Salvador.
5 years straight. Right?
14.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. But yeah, we did 9 trips total, I think. We did do one over Easter one year as well.
Yep. Okay. So you took a challenge to raise your money, and how much was it?
Oh, at the time, it was probably
Like $2,000 maybe. I don't
2,200.
She was Ubering. She was selling raffle tickets outside of
It
sports
was my
bars
first
up in
mission
Jersey.
trip.
She was doing it all.
And so at that time, you guys were just kind of getting to know each other and everything, and
And we met in person. And she flew down, and there was 8 guys and two women on the trip. 8 of my buddies and one other gal I knew from church, and Melissa. And so she and Beth bonded, and we were helping build a house for one of the kids' families in El Salvador, and so that was the first time we met on the trip. And
And we just stayed really good friends.
so you guys were friends first. Go figure. And the thing about being friends is that there's so many young people that are like, I don't want to be friend zoned. Why not? Don't a friend know everything? Tell us about being friends first.
Well, I tell people, I'm like, we had that 9-year friendship that we had built and had a foundation on, before deciding, looking at each other and going, what are we doing? But she ended up getting a job down here in women's ministry in 2021. And that brought her down. And then we wisened up in 2022 and started dating.
So for almost 9 years, like you said, you guys were just kind of, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Let's go do some missionary work and just say goodbye. And
And it built on that, though. She built her own friends down here, and you come visit. And
Yeah, I pretty much had a family down here already. God was making it obvious that I was probably going to move here one day by forming a lot of close, deep friendships through these mission trips.
And so you've always been a part of his visions, correct? From the time you raised the money to go with him on, but you didn't know you would be like there in 2022.
No, I did not. That was not part of my plan.
It wasn't part of your plan. Wow. But look at God. God's plans are not our plans. It didn't say like his thoughts are not our thoughts, his ways are not our ways.
Exactly.
He says, I know the plans that I have for you, and those are plans to give us hope and future and expected end in Jeremiah 29:11. So it's so amazing to have you here again. Thank you so much for Golf and God. Now, you have a ministry that you're working on to kind of pair up. Is it pairing up with Servant T?
Yeah, so she actually came on board to help me with Servant T last year. She's great at organization and planning and mission trip planning, and but her heart's been women's ministry, and we want to see that flourish. And so she's got her ministry she's building out right now. But currently, though, she helps with all the coordination of our events, and
She really does.
yeah.
Wow. So you're just a major player. You're that queen on the chessboard that can move anywhere and do anything whenever it's needed to be done.
Pretty much. I'm the woman that helps drive the mission and vision forward.
Yep.
She's the
She
woman
used the golf
driver.
word, the term, drive.
I like it. I like everything about it. Now, what is the name of your ministry that you're working on?
Appointed.
Appointed. Tell us just a little bit about that, and we're going to go change, and then we're going to hear more about your story and your ministry. But just before we get ready to go in and break, tell us a little bit about Appointed.
Appointed is inspired by John 15. John 15 tells us that we're called and appointed to bear lasting fruit for the kingdom, and we can't do that without abiding in Christ. And so Appointed will provide resources for women to grow deeper in faith with the Lord and grow, strengthen their characteristics to be more Christ-like. And we'll do that through retreats as well as discipleship groups.
Awesome sauce. And so are you guys both Servant T and Appointed, is it connected to an existing ministry, or is it going to just kind of couple together?
They'll couple together. The reality is most of what we're doing is with men. There are women that have participated in some of our local volunteer events, but this creates a great way for us to then look at bigger trips where the husbands may go play golf while the women do the women things and serve the kids and do their women stuff. You know how it goes.
It's going to come together, right? Just like you guys did. Like you guys came together.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that God didn't ask your permission? Just like Adam. Go to sleep and I'll fix it all for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what happened? Kind of like that?
Kind of like that.
So really quick, I think we have maybe a minute or so before we go to break. Melissa, do you golf?
I do not golf. I'm completely the administrator and coordinator. And
So you never golf? Oh, she can putt-putt.
I can putt-putt.
So you can putt-putt on one of these.
You can. We don't do it
You were saying
much.
something about the kids. What were you saying about the kids?
Oh, the kids, we have like demolition driving range where they can smash a driver, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man's on there, and you can blow him up and stuff like that. But yeah, putting's hard on these things.
Melissa's not gonna do any golf.
We'll get her there.
He's trying to teach me.
We're starting with a tennis racket.
I'm not that great.
Well, thank you guys again. Melissa, thank you for showing up, taking the invitation from Brett.
Thank you so
As
much
you've
for
done
having
before.
me.
And we're gonna just take a break. We're gonna go change our clothes, and we're gonna get back into the ministry and talk to you guys a little bit more about this business and how God brought you guys together.
Yeah.
And getting Appointed started up, and keeping Get Serpent Tea going, and also getting some mobile golf at our events.
Yeah.
I like it all. Thank you guys for joining
Thank you
me.
so much. Yeah.
Hey, you guys. Go to those Facebook, go to Instagram, go to mobileevents.net, I believe it is, and don't go too far, because we're going to be back after this break with Brett and Melissa. Welcome back from the break. Of course, we're bringing Brett back with his beautiful wife, Melissa. So welcome you guys back. You guys clean up so nicely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And I do forgive Brett for spoiling our surprise by bringing you up. But I like it, though, because every husband should look to their wives like he did. Hey, hon, when was it that we... I'm like, just come on up, Melissa. So I think everyone appreciates that.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for coming back so that we can get to know who's behind this awesome ministry called Servant T, and also who's standing with Brett in this mobile golf event. So it's like a lot of little moving parts, but you guys are working on it together. So what I would like to do is, like we did before he ruined our surprise is, let's go back to the beginning. Let's walk people through how you guys came together, because I wholeheartedly believe in how you guys came together. And I'm going to let you guys have that. So whichever one you want to start.
Ladies first.
Okay. Would you like to start with start off with when we first met?
When you first met.
Okay.
Because that's important.
We were, like we had shared, we were, what?
I was like, we got 13 minutes.
Okay. Thanks, babe.
I love you guys, by the way.
We met on Instagram. Brett had shared an inspirational devotional that had reached me.
I wrote something profound.
Yeah.
Do you know what it was? Just real quick. What was it? What was it about? Context?
It was about being versus doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and you loved it.
Right?
That
And
spoke to
you
me.
liked it. You clicked on it and said, I like this.
Yeah.
And then did you comment too?
I shared it.
She reposted
Friend
it.
requested him and reposted it, and then friend requested me back. And then saw my post and said, "This looks familiar." And so
Plagiarizing.
we and I was like, "Oh crap!" So we got chatting right on the post, and went back and forth and shared a lot of interest, or noticed that we both have similar pasts through what we were sharing on the post. And so we decided to email back and forth. So it went from the gram to email to then a phone call.
And a phone call. And that only was a friendship at the time. It wasn't a romantic. It was like, oh, you're just a cool being that has a lot in common with me. And of everything that you guys don't have in common, I am shocked that as much as he's into golf from like a child, you don't golf.
No.
So you don't really have to necessarily buy into their deep hurt interest. I'm asking a question for the audience.
I think the biggest interest that we both had was Jesus, and I think that's what was most important.
That's the biggest part. Okay, well let's let Brett try and MC.
He's chiming?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was an interest, in the beginning there, and she was starting up a children's tumbling gym, and I sort of just come out of working. I worked in Connecticut the year before, and had started a new job and started dating somebody at the same time, and sort of had that experience of I just felt like she needed to focus on that, especially the distance. She was in New Jersey and I'm down here, so. I think I just encourage you to focus on that, but let's reconvene, because I had mentioned to her about this mission trip to El Salvador. But if this comes to fruition, I'll invite you to come, and that's what we talked about yesterday a little bit. But she ended up agreeing to raise her funds to come on this trip, and then that was when we first met. We had done FaceTime a few times, right?
Just a few times.
I don't know, yeah, probably half a dozen times or so, and just checked in. But then she comes on this trip, and we meet the day before. About 10 of us were flying to El Salvador, and almost drowned in the ocean. It was a crazy story down in El Salvador.
And so this 9-year friendship translated into marriage and ministry. How? What light went off?
It did for me at first. Once I landed a job here, because I had applied for jobs all over the country, the world, different countries. And the one that opened up was here in Georgia. So I'm like, do you think maybe God has something more for us? And he was like, no.
He did?
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
I just
want to know why. How did you just automatically say no? You don't believe God's doing that?
Just wasn't feeling it.
So you spoke on God. She didn't ask you, were you feeling? She asked you, what was God thinking? And you said, no, God is not in on it. That is wildly organic. So carry on.
Okay, so then I moved here, and then we started hanging out a lot. And then I was thinking, all right, Lord, if this is the man for me, then you need to show us, and we need to feel it. And the Lord said to me, well, you need to let your yes be yes and your no be no. You say, oh yeah, I'll choose him if he chooses me, but what if he doesn't choose you? Do you still choose him? This can't be me leading you to someone, because when the going gets tough, I don't want to hear, Lord, this is your fault. You brought us together. So I knew he was leading me to a decision that I had to make on my own. And based on Brett's character and who he was as a friend and who I saw him to be to the guys in his circle, I was like, all right, this is a good man. This is somebody that I would really enjoy as a husband. But Lord, you have to stir up the feelings in me if this is really for him. So I'm going to choose him. Now you do the rest. And so I made it a choice in my heart to the Lord that I would choose him before he chose me. If he even didn't choose me, I was still choosing him. So
You like that, don't you? She's sitting there like, yeah, she chose me.
I made that choice, and a week later, he pursued me. And
what does that mean?
Well, he kissed me.
He did? Right, you getting fresh after you said God said no. You said God said no, now you kissing
No,
me.
this was a while after God said no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then he
Not too
backed
much
away.
longer.
Not too much longer, right?
Oh, yeah.
He chose me, then backed away.
He did?
got spooked.
I got spooked.
You did?
Yeah. Well, it's like, how do you go from, I was struggling, like, here's this good girlfriend, friend girl, whatever you want to call it, for 8-9 years, and then, like, flip the switch to all of a sudden, like, we were dating. It was just hard for me to flip that switch right away. So.
But you didn't flip the switch. Apparently, God switched it.
Yeah.
Because she stood on her business.
She did.
She said, you said, God said, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. He was saying that God said no, but you were saying, God, I'm going to listen to whatever you say, yea, nay, nay. So God had the final say so, didn't he?
He did.
That's the God that we serve, isn't it? And here we are today.
Yeah.
15 months in the game.
Yeah, we had a fast, 1-year dating relationship, and then she was on a mission trip to Costa Rica. I flew down, and then we got engaged down there and married 4 months later.
But you knew when you went down there what you were going to do, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you had intentions. I just want to ask one more question before we get into the ministry.
Yeah.
What made you decide you were going to be intentional in what you were doing when you went to Costa Rica?
Well, we had been dating, I guess, almost a year, and we had talked about where our relationship was heading at the beginning of 2023. We sort of verbalized like what we thought our plans would be, and so I knew what we were doing. I knew what my decision was, and then just this became an opportune time to, hey, why not get engaged in Costa Rica? So that's a longer story of how it all went down, but
it's enough. It's enough for people to have hope.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have servantee. Tell us a little bit about that, and then Melissa, I want you to tell us about appointed.
Yeah. So servantee was birthed out of the mission trips to El Salvador. Quick story: we were on our third trip, maybe. We would serve the children's home, and then we would rent a beach house for a couple days and just relax, reflect on the week, have some good seafood, maybe a beer or two, and just take that time for ourselves after a long, busy week with 25 kids, and so coming back, we passed a new golf course being built, and I looked it up, and it was a nice golf course, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool to bring some golfers where we'd come down here, we'd serve, and then tee it up. So that was where the name servantee came from. So it basically made up a word, but the beautiful thing about it is the word servant, which we're called to be servants. And then shortly after, I was reading through Acts, and Acts 26:16 is a verse that struck me. It's where Paul's recounting his Damascus Road experience. And Jesus blinds him, right, and he falls down, and Jesus says, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? He says, who are you, Lord? And he says, I am Jesus. And he says, now get up. He says, arise, stand to your feet. For this purpose I've appeared to you, to be a servant and a witness to the things you've seen in me and the things you've yet to see. And so that just resonated with me. I'm like, that's our verse, right? Because we're called to rise, get up every day for this purpose, for today, right? And to be a servant in whatever we're doing, right? And to be witness for what God's doing in our lives.
Amen. And you just love it, didn't you?
Yeah.
You love the man behind it, but you love his visions too, huh?
Of course,
Of course. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing it. Now, you're going to start, he's kind of helping motivate you to have appointed. Tell us a little bit about that real quick.
I have learned that a lot of women are experiencing dissatisfaction, even though they're going to church and going to Bible studies and doing all the things. But when it comes to hardships in life, there's a lot of dissatisfaction. And I have learned through my hardships, the only thing that has kept me to have joy through those times is by being close and intimate with the Lord. And so God has used my past experiences as well as my ability, my background in counseling and teaching to be able to come up with tools to help women draw in deeper intimacy with the Lord. So Servanty will be a fiscal sponsor, which will help kind of be the foundation to launch Appointed. And then as soon as I raise $150,000, we can launch the ministry and create spaces for women to connect deeper with the Lord.
That is amazing that Servanty is going to be one of your sponsors and funding. See, I would have married Brett too if he had given me sponsorship and stuff, but that's okay, God gave it to me. You know what? I love you guys. I love your story. I hope you come back with your baby when you have it, and we can have the baby on the show with Brett.
That would be great.
Yeah, a little butter. Thank you so much for coming on The Move and being so gracious with your time and your story and your testimony. Just, make sure you respond to all those inboxes that you guys are going to get about Appointed, because women are in that position and they're supposed to, hold their face and act like they're not. So good job, servant, and then tee it up. I love it. But also mobile golf events, definitely, I got to check it out. So thank you guys for joining me on The Move.
Again.
And thank you guys for sticking around. And maybe, just maybe, if you do what Melissa did, you'll get a Brett too, and learn how to have golf God and be appointed. Thank you guys for joining me with Brett Gurney and Melissa Gurney, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care and golf it up with God.